This is my 1955 BSA B33. Absolutely amazing bike, I love it. I've had it for 7 months now, and touch wood, I think I made a really good buy. Original registration number, original engine, original frame, and I've done 1 or 2 little jobs to it. I'm going to document this next job. Unfortunately, this bike hasn't got a side stand. The side stand should just be under there, under the brake lever. There's normally a lug on the frame that the side stand fits onto, and some previous owner has sawn it off. And I'm going to try and replace it. So I'll try and document the job, because it means the primary chain case has got to come off with the clutch in order to put this lug back on. It's been a great bike, as I say. When I got it, it had electronic ignition on it, which I wasn't really too happy with, so I've replaced it with magneto ignition. I had the magneto and the dynamo professionally reconditioned. That cost nearly £500, and I also got a brand new carburetor for it, brand new Amel carburetor, which was £200, and you know, it runs like a dream. I wish I'd discovered these bikes many years ago, but I'm going to try and document this job, and we'll see how we get on. If you could just imagine for 1 minute that this old box spanner here is the bottom frame on this B33. What it should have on the frame is a bracket like that. And that bracket was part of the frame and welded to the frame or braced to the frame. I purchased a brand new stand. I think it was from Burton Bikes. You know, almost £100 these things, and that would go up against a bracket like that and screw directly on, a bolt directly on, because there were threaded holes in this bracket. But my frame didn't have a bracket because someone sawed it off. So I bought my side stand for £100, but I didn't have a bracket. And you can't, I've tried everywhere and I couldn't get a bracket for this frame. I'm sure 1 or 2 people, if they do see this, will say, oh, you can get them X, Y and Z. But I tried and I couldn't find a bracket. I'm not an engineer, I've only got a very basic workshop, so I couldn't make one either. So I was a bit stumped. How am I going to get this side stand onto the frame? Now, yes, I could have put it on and just had it braced round there, but that didn't seem right to me. I wanted to have a bracket on the frame, and the only thing I could think of doing was buying another side stand, exactly the same, 2 of them, and cutting the lug off the top, sawing it off, dressing it up, so it then gives me a lug that perfectly matches, because they're both exactly the same stand, perfectly matches the stand. So now I can put that bracket on there, I can get it braced on the frame, and the side stand will match up to it. Second problem is the holes in these side stands aren't threaded. So I could have had just a nut and bolt going through and holding it on, but I decided to tap a thread in this piece that I cut off the other stand. So I've tapped a thread in there so I can fit that onto the frame, bolt it through, and when it's bolted and it's fixed in the correct position, I'll find someone, I haven't found them yet, but I will find somebody who can braze this piece back onto the frame like it should be, and hopefully, you know, that'll restore the frame to what it was when it came out of the factory. That's my plan, and I'll try and keep you posted as I go along. Okay, we're going to make a start on removing the primary chain case. I think the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to disconnect the rear brake, and I'm going to remove the footrest, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, we've disconnected the rear brake. There we go. We'll take the nut and bolt off the foot peg, and hopefully the foot peg comes off. So that's now giving us room to get to the primary chain case. Okay, I've drained the primary chain case. What I'm going to do now is basic stuff. You'll see here I've got a cardboard template. Very basic stuff. Most people do this to make sure you get the screws in the right place. And as I remove each of the screws, I'm going to put them in the correct position in here. Simple but effective. This is the last screw coming out now of the primary chain case screws. Oops, and there we go. The primary chain case has come straight off, and it was as easy as that to get to this stage. All the screws are labelled up, all marked in there, ready to go back for the next time, and we'll get on with the next phase in a few minutes. As far as I can see, everything looks pretty good in there inside the primary chain case. The tension of the chain's fine. The clutch has obviously been a new clutch, judging by the position of the adjusters, and if you can see right in the back here where the bolts are that hold the inner primary chain case to the engine, the bolts are actually wired together, which is an additional safety measure, and that's really good. I'm quite pleased with that. Right, let's get on with removing the engine shock absorber. Well, I'm the first to admit I'm not an expert in these matters, but since I've removed the primary chain case, I've got a better look at this side stand and the bracket, and I suspect, or I believe, that it might be possible to braze this this bracket on without having to remove the whole primary side, the primary drive side, including the clutch. I actually think I might be able to get someone to be able to get into there and braze that bracket on. I'm sure they can get in there, and possibly on the other side, and braze the bracket on, and that'll save an awful lot of work of dismantling the full primary drive side. So my next job is to get this bike up to somebody who does the welding, let them have a look at it and see whether they can do it or not. Hopefully they can, and it'll save me an awful lot of work. Well, there we go. That's the bracket that the the welder TIG welded on just before. It's a great job, and thankfully he's been able to do it without having to take the full primary drive off. So let's get it back together again now. Well, there we go, the side stand has been fitted, bolted on with a couple of locking nuts on the top of it. Then that seems to be fine. We'll just close it there. While I was on with the job, I decided that I would fit one of those on. You can just see it there with the green gasket. It's a new sump plate manufactured by SRM with a magnetic drain plug in the middle, in case the bike suffers from wet sumping at any time in the future. The residue of the oil can easily be drained. So I just decided to put one of them on. Right, next step, let's get the primary chain case sorted out. And there we have it, primary chain case topped up with oil, everything back together, and the working side stand.